broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in either of the countries. We'll be doing our SolidCAM live today, 30 minutes. With me, as always, is Kevin Rankel. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. So today, we actually got a question from Brian. Brian is in attendance. So Brian, this is your question, and let me just bring a little snippet of the email on screen. So working on taper bores in the attached part, would really like to see rest material / gouging in these bores as I adjust drills to remove as much material as possible without gouging. And then we're doing it today, so you don't have to worry about watching the recording. And then I tried such things as cross-sectioning the part before running the simulation. I tried all various buttons in Simulate. Putting in hybrid mode or turning on transparency help a bit, but I really want is a cross-section of the simulated part. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So basically, I believe what he's referring to is if you just go and just do a simple simulate in Solid Verify, you either have some of these modes that we've covered before. So this is just the, what is this one called? Render mode. And then hybrid is basically just showing it's transparent. And really transparent is really the only way to see it internal. Whenever you do any kind of information or toolpath on the inside there, that's really the only way to see it, other than if you were to do mill turn. There are section views in mill turn only because we know exactly where that turning plane is. So as the later half of Brian's thing here, if we can't do that, he'd like to request it. That's also one of my requests. I'd like to see that functionality that we get from mill turn plugged in here. That way we can actually get cross sections very similar to what we do inside of SolidWorks, but that's me. But to see the rest material as you're working on it, I'm not sure. I mean, do you mean when you're doing this, you're not seeing that the material is being removed, Brian? Or you mean as you're adjusting it, you'd like to be able to recalculate and then see how much material you've actually removed?
Oh, it worked for this company. And this.
Hey, Mark, I do hear some other voices in there, and I see.
Yeah, I do. I see a lot. Yeah. I think we're getting some weird online business going on here. Let me get rid of some of these guys.
Yeah, I'll get rid of those if you want to continue in.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, the world is online now, so that's probably what's going on there. So back to Brian's question. So Brian, if you could just maybe give me like a bit of an elaboration on what, there it is. Okay, so
when somebody just showed their webcam.
Who knows what's going on today? I'm not gonna question it. Okay, so Brian's response is: when done, press on the rainbow. Okay, yeah, so the rest gouge the students are talking about. Okay, that's what I mean. So I can see the rest material without spinning it around. Okay, I think I understand what you mean, and hopefully that it is even simpler answer than I thought. But let's go into here. We'll do hybrid mode. Run this all the way through so that we get the final version of the part. Okay, so are you saying that when you hit the rest material gouge check guy over here, you're saying that you have to rotate it around to see down the hole? Just waiting for Brian's response. Yes, section is, okay, perfect. So if you click use transparency, you get a similar transparency to with your hybrid mode. So that should kind of give you a little bit more. Is that helpful, or did you already know about this button right here? Wasn't good enough, knew about it, okay. All right, so this might be something that is better addressed in Beta Simulator. So the Beta Simulator,
well, and even
over here.
Before we hop over to the Beta Simulator, Mark, if we can go back into the Solid Verify, I'm just curious if we go ahead and play that through in the Solid. Yep.
Okay.
There is the gouge button up there. It's not one that I use very commonly, but we should be able to turn on and show like a rest material and gouge kind of directly under the settings. Do you see that? One more down. See where the G is? So we can show hide gouges that way, so that turns it on. And then the next one over is we can split the gouges, but technically on this one there's no gouges, so it's not showing us anything.
Oh, okay. I've never seen this one myself. So what if there was a gouge, what would it show? Just the chunk that
yep,
was actually removed?
Yep. It would actually show the area that it was gouged and eliminate the rest of the part there, so we could get a really focused area on it as well.
Okay, let's do something just to show that then. Let's just do a simple profile.
And Brian's saying if you go to the drill 1 and set the depth deeper, that would be a gouge.
Okay, let's do that then. We'll stick with within his example to show the exact thing that he was looking for. So we're looking for drill 1.
Yep, drill 1.
Am I not seeing it? There's drill 2. Just drill.
Just
okay,
drill.
So the first drill. Okay. And put it a little deeper. So we'll go levels, and instead of 12, let's put that at 0. Let's see if that goes a little deeper. So solid verify, play through. That
and
should be a gouge.
Just to verify, go ahead and do the rainbow just to see it. Make sure it is showing up as a gouge inside there. Yep, so we can see red inside there. Or can we?
I'm not sure if I'm seeing red. Let's go and just make this even deeper. We'll just go -1. Crazy deep. Okay, play through. That definitely, because the holder, okay, and let's do one of these just to, there it is, okay, so it is gouge. Now what happens when we click on the G, split,
and go ahead
and I guess that shows the green bit there that was left. That's all gouged, right?
Yep. So the green area is showing us gouge. So that is another way of kind of going through in there and showing those gouges as they come through.
Let's just maybe not do so much. Get a better example of that.
Now, according to that, it's not gouging. Because if we do the rainbow bar on there.
I guess the drill was even deeper. Okay, so let's go 1/2 inch.
I think it's just going to get to the point where your holder's hitting.
That's what I'm looking for. Ah, come on. Okay, let's just do. When I did 1 inch, it was a whole thing. When I do this, it's not. Okay. All right, so let's go solid verify. Okay, so I guess we'll see a little bit of a difference. Yeah, okay, so once we turn on the G, it shows us what was gouged. So that chunk right there. And then I guess that is the solid.
Yep. So Brian, what it's doing is you don't really have to select anything there. It's just telling us that it's gouging on that particular section right there.
It just shows the chunk that was gouged off.
Yep, the chunk that was gouged.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay, let me put this back to what he had before.
And I would definitely say that the best way to kind of approach that would be using that rainbow, just because we can see, you know, our tolerances that are there of the gouge. So maybe in one area we're just slightly gouging, where another area we are majorly gouging into there. So yeah, so if you go into the G and it shows nothing, okay, so if G shows nothing, no gouge. If it shows little slivers, you gouge something. Correct. Yes. Now, what Merck is showing here now in the beta simulator is going to be the same thing, but we'll just have to turn on the stock target comparison inside of the beta simulator here.
Well, I wanted to show the one thing first, the addition of section views. So this actually exists in the beta simulator, the kind of thing I was talking about before. But I don't know if we have the same functionality as we do with Solid Verify. But so you were saying.
So, yep, there you go.
And then show it.
Yep.
Okay, so since there's no gouges, it doesn't show anything.
Correct.
But is there a way to get that cross section here as well?
And click and drag that in. No, looks like we can't do them simultaneously.
Oh. But you do get this little bit right here, which I like. I like being able to, especially when you're doing this sort of internal work. You get this functionality with the mill turn in Solid Verify, but here you have to do it in the beta simulator to get the same functionality, so you can actually see the cross section here.
And Brian, or I mean, everyone that's on right now, one thing to remember too is the verification, like when we were showing this in the Solid Verify, the gouge, the G button inside there where it shows your gouge, that is only going to be as accurate as your model. So one thing to remember is if you guys have a 15 thou tolerance in there and it's showing gouging, we want to be as accurate as possible. So if you're looking for a really precision fit, I would definitely recommend changing those settings to a lower number in there versus a higher number. And maybe Merck, just for review for everyone, let's go ahead and show that in the Solid Verify settings. And Brian said he's very excited. I'm guessing that's what he's saying.
Okay, so settings and sorry, what
go to the accuracy.
Accuracy. Oh yeah, okay.
So in here is, you know, if you guys have this number set up at a very high number in here, so Mark has it set to, well, go ahead and set a high tolerance right now. Let's do 50 or 10 thou.
So a coarse tolerance, basically.
Yep.
Like it's a higher number, meaning that it's not as accurate.
Correct.
So let's go, I'm just going to jump out and jump back in so we can kind of get this thing to reinitialize with lower grade number or the coarser tolerance. Play through. You can see how kind of ugly it looks, but that's because it's like Kevin was describing. That's actually your facet tolerance. So the STL that's built here to represent the updated stock, that's using triangles or little elements that are 10 thou in size. And then when we go to do this guy over here, well, I mean, how do you really measure 4/10 if you only have triangles that are 10 thou? So you can't really get the best accuracy here. So everything looks like it's a gouge because it's looking for 4 thou here in terms of a distance, either 4 thou in or 4 thou out, depending on which side of this spectrum I want to look at. But if I'm measuring it with 10 thou triangles, building blocks, then these are flipped 180 and it looks like a gouge.
Yep.
But that's what this is all about here. So if I were to set this to, let's say, 10 thou, so minus 10 thou.
You might even have to go bigger than 10 thou.
Well, you can see now that the color changed because now it's between 4/10 and 10 thou. But if we set this to, let's say we put this one at 20, because now we're talking about building blocks of 10 thou, we can only do 10 thou increments. So let's do 10 thou, 10 thou, and now it's on size because it's between 0 and 10 thou.
And I just want to kind of let everyone know that's in the live class, and even more everybody that's live right now. Does that make sense with the facet tolerance of the Solid Verify versus the stock target comparison? The numbers that are going on in between there. Okay. And then
I would say you got to find a trade-off between how fine and how coarse you set that facet tolerance to, because there are some times where customers call in and they say their system is stalled, it's dead, what's going on? I just wanted to Solid Verify. And then when we check your facet tolerance and it's set to
1
1 millionth of an inch. That's very fine detail, and you will be able to definitely see how well this thing gets machined, but you're going to have to wait forever to see it. So you got to find a trade-off between the calculation time, the simulation time, and the actual accuracy you're looking for. So like Brian said, he usually sets it to a certain value that's basically coming from the limits of his machine positioning. That's one way to do it, but that number is probably really small compared to what you want to sit here waiting to calculate for. So myself, and I believe maybe Kevin, you can chime in, but I usually put this at about 4/10.
Yep, that's where a number where I really like to have it. Now,
I think that's the default value too.
4 thou. But one thing to remember, as we're going through and changing this has no reflection on the G code. So this is just for visual only, and this is just to show, you know, if we're doing any gouging or anything like that. So right now, Mark set it to 4/10, and now when he goes to run his stock target comparison, it's going to be, you know, a lot more accurate now versus before. And what I like to do in here is, for the 0 mark, I won't ever put that middle number at 0. I'll put that at maybe 1/10 or 1 millionth right in there, because nothing in you know, the math, how everything works, nothing is ever a 0. There's always, you know, 0.00000001. So if you put a 1, you know, tenth in there, then it will show up. So I'll usually do 1/10, and then I will do a negative 5/10, and then I will do a negative 1 thou. Is how I have my stock target comparison set up. But
that's actually a good point. I never thought about that.
Yep. So definitely, if you guys are watching this right now and you guys are seeing that rainbow bar, that you can definitely come in there and change those values.
So Brian's saying, say that again, Kevin. What numbers you're talking about?
Okay. So
sorry, these numbers.
So the red would be 1 thou. The orange would be 5/10, and then I would do 1/10 in there, or you could do 1 millionth if you wanted to, or 10. And then the next one over would be 5/10 and then 1 thou. And maybe go ahead and change yours to that mark right now, and that way people could maybe just get a screenshot as they're watching the video.
So you said this was
1 thou.
1 thou.
And then 5/10, and then 1/10, and then same 5/10, and 1 thou. And that's how I have mine set up, and that's how I really like it set up that way. So, and for it to save those settings, you guys have to click OK, and once you click OK on there, it will save those going forward for everything.
Yeah, so that should answer Scott's question. Where do you set those as defaults? There are no defaults. Well, the defaults is the system defaults, but if you want to save your changes, then like Kevin said, just click OK. For instance, I change these to Kevin's settings. If I click default, it goes back to those default values.
Yep. Now you have to redo all those numbers again, Mark. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm doing this. But that's a really good point. I never thought of that, because again, these are facet, triangles, elements, whatever we want to call in the background that build this thing, and they look at, in terms of surfaces, the vector of that surface, kind of like we talked about every time we do HSS, that surface normal, that surface vector. And if you set this to 0, there's no direction. It's either a negative or a positive. It can't be neutral. So that's a good idea there with the 0 there. But chances are you're never really on size anyway. There's always a little bit of a scallop or a fillet or something like that. But the default values are not wrong. They're just, if you're looking for a little more accuracy, it's Kevin's numbers. Kevin's numbers will give you a better idea as to the status of your part. Okay, so I guess that answers those questions. If you want me to go back to that, I'll go back to that. But I actually worked on something that's a little bit of a follow-up with what we talked about yesterday and the day before. And that is, again, using geometry to your benefit, finding a way to add a sketch or some sort of new geometry to help you with what you're doing. And what I want to show you today is it's still related to 5-axis, but it can probably be used in 4th-axis. It can probably even help you out with some of your HSS stuff as well. But I'm using it here in a 5-axis because of specifically what I used this for a customer part very recently. And that is the idea that, let's say I want to do these fillets, and I just want a tool path that kind of looks like this. I just want the tool to come in, go around, do that fillet, and exit without the holder touching these walls, without the tool touching these walls. And the way I did that was I created, just show this, I created a surface, and then I offset edges from that surface. And the reason I did that is because if we go back into the part, and again, this is more for 5-axis, but you can definitely create this geometry with this technique I'm about to show you. But I did this as a tilted through curve, and then the curve that I chose is that one that I actually created there, because I just grabbed that edge there and went around. And because I'm telling the tool to pass through those curves, I've angled it away from those walls. So the SolidWorks functionality that we use there to do that is this. Let's just go into here, and I'm going to recreate it so you guys can see how we did that. Let's just hide that and hide that. Okay. So that functionality, again, is in the Surfaces tab. And if you go to, see if I can remember it again now. Oh, I love doing this live and then forgetting where I went. Okay, I think it's offset surface. There it is. Click on that surface, and now you can see that it will give me an offset from that surface that I selected, but in the surface normal direction. So it's essentially, I'm just offsetting on all edges. I'm giving that kind of 3-dimensional 5-axis kind of thing there. Hopefully that's coming through. So let's say we make that guy there. I'm going to make it a little bigger than my other one so we can actually really see it. So now that makes an offset from that surface. All points on the original surface and this surface are, in this case, I guess, 1/2 inch apart. But how do I get that nice 3-dimensional kind of curve there that I wanted to use for my tilted curve? That is under Sketch and then Offset on Surface. So just by clicking on that and clicking on my surface, now you can see it gives me a preview of that offset. And that is in 3D, 5-axis, whatever you want to think of it as. But that curve is on that surface from all those edges. So since that is offset by 1/2 inch and that is inlet here from there by, let's say that 10th thou there, that is a perfect curve for me to get my tilted through curve because now it's up in that direction there. Hopefully that's useful. Another thing that I usually use for curves on a surface that might be helpful is it's not usually up here. I usually have to go to Insert, Tools, Sketch Tools, Face Curves. Now this is one that some people use more than that other one that I showed you, whereas you just choose surface, and then you can see that it's adding curves there that are in the direction of, I believe, Kevin, would you say these are in the isoline direction? You think, or is this? I'm not sure how to describe this, but you can kind of see that it follows the pink lines are following
the curved surface of it.
Yeah, and then you can increase the number of them. So let's say let's just call them like across and along. So the across lines and the along lines, they follow the curvature of that surface. If I don't need all of them, I can put in as few as I want and it just spaces them out. So let's say I just wanted that center line, I could set this to 3. So I get the edges and then the center line. I can get as many of these as I want. So if you're doing 5-axis and you need tilt lines, you can get that like that. It's pretty good.
Yeah. And that comes real handy because when you guys are doing that 5-axis, the more information, I think between Mark and I showing you guys all the 5-axis videos, the more information that we can feed into that 5-axis, the easier it will be for you guys to program. So this is a great thing to show here. Great, Mark.
Yeah, a really great way to get control of those lines. And let's say I don't want both sets. I just want the across lines. I can just uncheck this box and then it only gives me those. The other way to do this is with position. So I can just tell it where along there I'd like. So that's about 50% of the way there. Let's do it with this guy because it's a little more representative. So that is that exact center line there. If I wanted to shift it, I can shift it like that. So that's just one line, but I'm giving it a position along there. And then there's also the way to describe it with just a point, but I think I need to actually have a sketch point for that to work. But that's just another way to get some curves in a surface that you can use for 3-dimensional or 5-axis toolpaths.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep. But I just discovered this guy this week, and I thought this was pretty good, so I wanted to make sure to share it. But yeah, so we are near the end of the session. Let me just make sure there's no questions.
And one thing before we end it off here, just want to let everyone know there is a new service pack and hotfix out for everyone. So if you guys are currently running on an older build, definitely come to the website and grab the latest version. Mark is showing it, so we are on SP2 HF3, was released just a couple days ago on the website for you guys. So definitely we'll now be announcing, or I think Mark and I will be announcing this anytime we have an update for you guys, so you guys can go to the website and grab that right away. So.
Yep. I guess this is a good way to make the announcement when it's ready.
Yep.
Especially if I'm using it and you guys are seeing it. So yeah, no, definitely it's on the website now. And if you guys are InventorCAM users, I think there was also a recent update as well.
Absolutely.
But for now, if there are any other questions, you can send me an email using the email that Kevin's going to put in the chat section. You can send me your parts, your questions, comments, like Brian did. If you have any recommendations that you'd like us to forward to the development team, we can do that as well using that same email. If you'd like your own personalized training, you can send me an email with the day and time that you're free. We can get into your own personalized go-to-meeting using a phone rather than just text, and we can cover your specific parts, your specific questions, any topics you'd like covered. Even use that email to send an email to me and Kevin with maybe just a recommendation of a training video. You don't have time for personalized training, you didn't attend SolidCAM Live, but you know there's a video or you'd like to see a video that's posted to the YouTube channel on a particular topic. We can do that as well. We do that a lot. If you know anybody that can benefit from SolidCAM, send them our contact info or get them to call us. And if they get into a demo, you get that $100 gift card. If it goes to sale, you get 20%. So definitely that's a benefit to you for just letting somebody know about the benefits of SolidCAM. We will continue this until the end of the month. So that is a little less than a week. But if you send us an email saying you really like this, you'd like us to continue, that also goes up the ladder, and then they get us to keep coming in here at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, every day, 2 p.m. Eastern time. So we will see you guys tomorrow at that same time. Stay safe, keep your family safe, keep busy. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you guys later.